Luck, they say, is often a result of being in the right place at the right time. George Jordan would argue that bad luck can come from being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Looking back, George probably wishes he never stepped foot on an LA parking lot back in September of 1996. No longer a drug user himself, George admits he volunteered that day to pick up some drugs for a friend. At one point during that transaction, an undercover cop spotted the deal going down. The cop ran towards George. Not knowing who was racing towards him, George says he got set to run, but instead was tackled onto the pavement and taken into custody. Matters went from bad to worse. George claims the police later padded his rap sheet with having a large amount of drugs in his possession. George says he was clean. He didn't have any drugs in his possession, not at the time of his arrest. The police, George claims, were portraying him as a pusher, which is a much bigger offense with a much longer jail sentence than for just a casual user. The charges also brought a horrible downward spiral to his life. Family and friends abandoned him, as well as employers. At one point, he was even homeless, and he says getting his life back to normal seems impossible. Today's lie detector test, George hopes, will be the first step in that process. Nearly every day, Monica Vega has asked herself the same question: who is my father? The search has been lifelong and filled with twists so bizarre, it has led her to believe that her bloodline is intermingled with the CIA, Fidel Castro, and incredible wealth. During the early 1960s, Monica says her mother, Marita, traveled through Cuba, South America, and ultimately into the arms of Marcos Pérez Jiménez, the powerful Venezuelan dictator. According to Monica, Marita became the then-deposed dictator's mistress for nearly 3 years. Monica's mother claims that it is this once-feared man that is her daughter's father. But Monica says she needs hard proof. She needs to be certain that she is indeed the dictator's daughter. Armed with court documents and a recently acquired birth certificate, Monica comes to lie detector today to gain the peace of mind that most of us take for granted. As Ira Fletcher tells it, he was on his way to becoming a household name, signed by a New York record label. He believes he was going to be a superstar for his songwriting and singing. And then, in an instant, his life and career were completely and forever changed. About to enter a subway station, Ira noticed a woman crying as she held her child. Ira encountered the crying woman again, this time face to face, as a police officer wanted to see if Ira was the man who had just robbed her. The victim, Anna Cruz, positively identified Ira as her assailant. Ira was handcuffed, led to jail, and eventually convicted of the crime. Ira's label eventually dropped him, and his career plummeted. He comes to lie detector today to clear his name and jumpstart what at one time looked to be a promising future.